Bismillahi walhamdulillahi assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd, rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So, inshallah, today we'll be covering Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 196 to 215. Before we start, as usual, we will go through the 4 actions or 4 lessons that we got from the previous class. So we will quickly review them together. The first one was spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and help others. And there was a concept that I shared of actioning your first thought that come to give. So who remembers what was this point? Who can explain me this point number 1, which was the action from our previous class? Whatever you recall from it, anything.
That we should
Yes, go ahead, Umar.
that we should be we should can I tell in Urdu?
Yes, go ahead.
हमको अल्लाह ताला के कलर्स में रहना चाहिए और उनकी फरमाबरदारी और जो प्रीवियस स्टोरीज हैं उनसे लेसन्स लेना चाहिए कि वाली कौम को क्या हुआ था कि इस वजह से तो हमको वो चीजें नहीं करनी चाहिए हमारी लाइफ में.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Umar. So basically what Umar said is that we should have, we should be live in the colors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how he wants us to live. And we should learn from the stories of others as well. In this point, specifically, we talked about spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help others. And remember to action your first thought was the point about the first thing that comes to your mind when somebody asks you for help. And if you think positively, you should help them, you should give it, because the more you think about it, the more you deliberate about it, the more time you give shaitan to come and put waswasa in your heart and mind of not helping, and why should I help, and all of these things that come. So we should always remember to action our first thought that comes to our mind. Second point, fasting in Ramadan is obligatory. We as Muslims, we are supposed to fast during Ramadan. And the most important point that we learned about this lesson was this should be a month of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and getting closer to the teachings of Quran by learning Quran, by understanding Quran. Anyways, we should do this throughout as Muslims in our lives. However, the most important thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala associates with Ramadan is that this is the month in which Quran was revealed to all mankind. Another point that we learned was be patient in tough times and have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love for you and love for us. He is training you for something bigger in life. So who will explain to me what does this point mean? What do we mean by being patient?
We should not do stuff. We should not be angry at someone for doing stuff before, nothing.
Sure. Thank you so much, Umar. So we should not do stuff that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want, and we should not be angry. We should be patient in tough times. So you're right, because at times when there are tough times, we become angry as well. So we should be patient, we should be grounded, and we should have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I see a raised hand. It was from Shayan. Shayan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that by patience in tough times, it means to show patience, not to express any anger or any sort of thing that is against what the Quran is to do, but to remain patient, as then after troubles there will be good things as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shayan. Yes. So after every difficulty, there is ease that will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we learned in previous sessions, and we have to be patient in tough times because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. Anyone else? Okay, then we can proceed. Related to this, we need to understand that every tough time, every tough thing trains us. So it's like a training. When you're training in the gym, you're lifting weights, and just like that, so you are training yourself to, so that you prepare your body for future, and you can gain strength and even lift more and more weights in as you train ahead in the gym. Similarly, with tough times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is training us and making us stronger from our mind, on our character, on our bodies. It can be anything related to what tough condition we are facing. So he's training us for something to be also bigger in life. Last point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to us than we know. Always ask him for help. Pray to him alone. We should pray to him only alone. That's one of the fundamental beliefs in Islam. So these were the 4 things that were the lessons. Now let's start our lessons of today. Today, in the initial ayahs that when we go through, we will see the discussion about Hajj. So last time we went through the teachings in Ramadan, how to fast, what to do, what not to do. In these ayahs that we'll cover inshallah today, we will be learning about Hajj, and I'll be sharing a few points of very important points about Hajj that I'd like you to remember inshallah. So let's start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we start with ayah number 196. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, and complete Hajj and Umrah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that we do in Islam that we have been told as a ritual in Islam, we don't do to show off, we don't do to show it to other people. We only do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he has asked us to do it. So this says, and complete and perform Hajj and Umrah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَا, and if you are held back, and if you are held back, or if you cannot perform it for any reason, then what are you supposed to do? فَمَسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدِي, then offer whatever can be obtained with ease of sacrificial animal. So basically, you all know that we do sacrifice in Eid al-Adha, and this is the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam and his son. So during Hajj, this act is performed as well. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying is that yes, we should complete all the rituals of Hajj and Umrah once we have made the niyyah, and once we are going towards to perform Hajj, then we should, and if we are stopped on the way for any reason, because especially in old times when people used to start the journeys, they may not be able to complete for one reason or the other, for illness, for disease or anything, or if they had to return back, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they should still sacrifice an animal, whatever is available at their ease. وَلَا تَحْلِقُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ, and do not shave your heads, حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَدْيُ, until the sacrificial animal, or until your hadi, which is the hadyu, the animal that you're supposed to sacrifice, mahilla, reaches its destination, meaning it reaches for the qurbani, as we say, so for sacrifice. So we are not supposed to shave our heads until that happens. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا, then whosoever is amongst you is ill, or he has certain disease where they need to shave their heads before as well, which is something not allowed in ihram during Hajj. أَوْ بِهِ أَذَمْ مِنْ رَاسِهِ فَفِدْيَةٌ, or if he has any ailment of his head that he needs to shave head, or he needs to cut his hair for any reason before the animal reaches the place of sacrifice, then what are they supposed to do? فَفِدْيَةٌ مِنْ صِيَامٍ أَوْ صَدَقٍ أَوْ نُسُكٍ. So they are supposed to either pay a ransom, or they are supposed to fast, or they should give some sadaqah, charity, or they should perform a sacrifice. So these are the options that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, that if there is a need, if somebody is ill, if there is a special need to shave off the head or cut their hair because of any illness, then they are supposed to make these sacrifices. فَإِذَا آمِنْتُمْ, then you should sacrifice and perform all of these things when you're secure, or when you are in a place where there is security. فَمَنْ تَمَتَّعَ بِالْأُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ, then whosoever took advantage of the umrah followed by the hajj. So basically at that point in time when you people used to travel, and still today as well, when people travel, there are different forms, different types of hajj that you can do. You can perform umrah followed by hajj. So if you're trying to combine the journey of umrah and hajj, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, فَمَسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْحَدِي, so then offer whatever can be obtained with ease of sacrificial animals. Then you're supposed to sacrifice an animal as part of that hajj. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ فِي الْحَجِّ وَالسَّبْعَةٍ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ. But whosoever cannot sacrifice the animal when they are combining the hajj and umrah, then they need to perform a fast of 3 days during hajj. So they have to fast for 3 days during hajj, and then later on when they return they have to fast for 7 days. So total it becomes how much? Tilka asharatun kamilat. So when you return, this is 10 days in all. So you have to, if you're unable to perform the sacrifice, then you have to fast for 10 days. So 3 days during hajj and 7 days after hajj. ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ أَهْلُهُ حَاضِرِ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. So this instruction is for those who don't have their family within Masjid al-Haram, or who are not the dwellers of Masjid al-Haram. So if they live somewhere else, then this is the instruction for them. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, have taqwa or fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, and He is the one who gives severe punishment as well. So these are the directions of Hajj in this ayah, and they will continue as well. But before we go further, I want us to understand a few things. And in order to understand the Hajj and Umrah, there's a Sahih Hadith from the saying of the Holy Prophet SAW, narrated by Abu Huraira radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Allah's Messenger SAW said, the performance of Umrah is an expiation for the sins committed between it and the previous one. So when you perform Umrah and when you perform another Umrah, in between whatever sins that you have done, they are forgiven. And the reward...
Or even major sins?
Sorry?
Even major sins?
This is mainly for minor sins. Obviously, there are different rulings for major sins as well. However, for us, what we need to understand in life is that we should not really perform sins. And even for the minor sins, we should not think, okay, so now I'm performing Umrah today, I will be planning my next Umrah for the 3 months. So in between, what are the sins that I can do? This should not be the mindset of the Muslims, right? So what we need to understand is we have to avoid all the major sins, and even the minor sins we have to avoid. And we have to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always forgive us for all the sins that we commit. Because we as humans, we will continue to sin. The important thing is that we continue to ask for forgiveness. And you're right, in this case, mainly it is the minor sins or the smaller sins. The major ones are not, forgiven. And eventually, all of us will be forgiven on the day of judgment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of His mercy and out of His blessing. That is what we should pray for. And for no one in this world and no human being can, really pass a judgment of that who will be forgiven and he's amongst the Jannati or he's amongst the people of hellfire. We should not pass the judgment because we don't know the state of the heart of people. So the first part was telling us about the blessing of performing Umrah. That the sins that the person commits, they are forgiven in between by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second part is talking about the Hajj that is accepted, or Hajj Mabrur. And the reward of Hajj Mabrur is nothing except paradise. So when you're performing Hajj, and if it gets accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there is nothing except paradise for that, for the believer who performed Hajj. So this is the big blessing of Hajj Alhamdulillah, for all Muslims available, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of this importance, has made it fundamental or fard ritual of Islam that every Muslim has to perform. So the next thing that we need to understand is, as an action for us, inshallah, when you guys grow up, or when you're already, some of you are grown up, so when you reach adulthood and that age, Hajj is obligatory, or it is a first ritual to be performed by everyone. So it is fard. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on this point is, some of us think, there are some special conditions for Hajj, and probably, so let's also understand the conditions. And because there are some misconceptions here as well that people have. So let's understand. There are mainly 5 conditions of Hajj. Obviously, the first one is that a person should be Muslim, because for kuffar and non-Muslims, our rituals and our fundamental elements that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do as Muslims are not really applicable. So person should be Muslim, they should be an adult, and they should be of sound mind. I mean, this means they should not be insane. They should, if a person is insane or is not in the right state of mind, then obviously Hajj is not obligatory for them, because they will not be able to probably perform the rituals the right way. So you should be a Muslim, you should be an adult, you should have a sound mind, you should be free, because in those days there were many slaves who were captives. So if you are a slave, then you have probably multiple duties to perform, and your master may not allow you to even go, because of everything that you have to do. So you have to be free, and slaves in those times did not have that free will. Last one is being able to do it. Being able to do it means that you should be physically fit, obviously, because it can be a tiring journey when you are going and when you're traveling. And this is even for today, because there is a huge movement of people. There are millions of people who move at the same time and all of this. So it can be tiring because of the heat, because of the condition, because of weather. So you have to be physically fit. And the second thing is that you should be able to do it financially. This point on financially, what does it mean? That you should have the provisions, you should have the money. These days, it means that you should have the money to pay for the ticket, or to fly and stay, whatever your stay is, and all of this you should have the financials. Now the misconception here is that some people say things like, I still have to save money to build my house, so I will not perform Hajj right now, or they delay for conditions that are not true. I still have to marry my daughter, for example. It's an important duty, right? We understand this. And having a house is also an important thing for for your peace of mind and everything else. However, we need to understand that these are the 5 conditions of Hajj. The moment you have money that is enough to perform Hajj, and obviously you don't need to take a loan, it should be your own money, and Islam is a very practical religion from that standpoint. So you have the money and you are physically fit and you fulfill all of these conditions, Hajj is obligatory. All of the other things or excuses that shaitan puts in our mind are not true. So this is something that I wanted to emphasize about Hajj. The other thing is to really understand, because when you understand the actions that we perform or what happens around Hajj, you understand why do we really do this, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking and it is making obligatory for us to go through the Hajj. So we'll be discussing about that. Yes, Ahmad, question, go ahead.
So does this mean that kids can't go to Hajj?
I'll tell you. So kids can go to Hajj, but once they turn adult, that's when it counts. And the reason is that once you are an adult, you will really understand things, and because it also has something related to physical fitness, because it's a tiring journey and all. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not made it first for kids. But once you become an adult, it becomes first, and that's when it gets really counted for you. Okay. Kids can go, but it's a tiring journey. And when small kids are accompanying their parents, it may not be the case for all of them, but still, parents can also get distracted with kids asking for something or something. So they are not able to focus on their prayers, which is the core of Hajj as well. So basically, who will tell me what is Hajj? Who can answer me this question? What is Hajj?
Hajj is a ritual which is performed by Muslims
to worship Allah.
Yes, very good. So I heard Umar. Umar said that Hajj is a ritual performed by Muslims. Ahmed, you were saying something as well?
I was saying that Hajj is a month of the year in which you go to Makkah and do tawaf of the Kaaba to worship Allah.
Yes, there are multiple rituals. We will talk about some of them in the upcoming slides. But yes, you're right. It is in a specific month you go and you perform the tawaf of the Kaaba as well. There are certain things that you do. Excellent answer. Both of you are right. Anyone else? What is Hajj? Yes, Shayan, go ahead.
Okay, so Hajj is, from what I know, is the fifth pillar of Islam, and it became obligatory in the 9th year of Hijrah. And Hajj is an act of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is obligatory on every Muslim who can complete can be able to do it, who is able to do it.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I think the literal meaning of it is the intention of going on pilgrimage.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shayan. Thanks a lot. Excellent answer. Now, let me tell you guys the how we should also see Hajj in a different way. What really is Hajj? So, if I tell you that Hajj is a practice of life after death, meaning there are things that happen to us during Hajj, or there are elements that are part of Hajj that prepare us for life after that. So this is like a practice for Muslims, that what will happen after you die, and and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing that reality to us, closer to us, so that after going through this experience, we correct our lives and we live our lives according to the teachings of Quran and as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us. So let me show you some examples. Why am I saying that it is a practice of life after that? So it is preparing us for what are the things that will happen after we die. And I think it is very important because we understand that this life is a test. It's a test of people, if someone will do good or someone will do bad, and if you will be on the right path or the wrong path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this book of guidance, which is the Holy Quran. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Holy Quran, there will be a day of judgment. These are the things that happens after death. So I think, so practically going through this experience, thinking it this way, makes us believe that yes, these things are real. And this is actually the practice, or this is what I will go through. So let me show you a few examples. Why am I saying that it is a practice of life after that? And here I need everybody's full attention. Are all of you with me?
Alhamdulillah.
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 Alhamdulillah. Great. So now please guys, if you have other windows, if you have any distractions, shut everything, focus on the screen and to what I am saying. And then you will see why I say that Hajj is a practice of life after that. So let's start. The first thing, what happens during Hajj is you leave behind everything. You leave behind your car, your house, your bank balance, your relatives, your family, everything behind, right? You cannot take your car, right? Regardless of how rich you are, you cannot say, I'm going to drive my way to the Hajj. I know my way. Even if you're living in Saudi, it's not really allowed. So you're supposed to take the transportation you're supposed to take. And even in those days, and you cannot say, no, I need the comfort of my house. So I need my bed and all of those things in my house. I can move. Or you can say, I have so much bank balance. So, I will not really follow the things because I'm rich. So, I'm different. Or you can say that, if your relatives, obviously you are with your family, those members who are performing Hajj with you, that's something different. But generally, the majority of your relatives and family you leave behind. Yes, Ahmed, you were saying something.
Isn't that just being sassy?
Sorry?
Isn't that just being sassy?
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, you're right. But the thing to focus here is that Hajj, so you cannot be sassy, of course, during Hajj. But what I'm saying is, you leave behind everything that you have in this life. Car, house, bank balance, relatives, family, everyone, everything, right? So when you die, do you guys agree with me that nothing goes with us? So when we die, also, when we pass on from this life, we don't take anything with us, regardless of you are Muslim, non-Muslim or anything. You don't take things to your grave, right? You don't have your credit card in your, in your pocket while you're inside the grave, or, the keys of your car or your house, right? You don't have them. So it's similar. In Hajj, when you leave for Hajj, in this journey, you leave behind everything you have in this life. Just like when you die, nothing goes with you. You don't take your car keys, credit card, whatever, and these things, right? So this is the number one similarity. The starting point. This journey is preparing us for life after that. That's the point that I told you. The first point is, just like we leave behind everything in this life, when we go for Hajj, similarly, at death, after that, we don't take anything like this as well. Let's go and see what is point number 2. You all have seen this dress that we wear during Hajj, right? This is called a shroud, or ihram, generally people say. Although ihram basically means it's a state, it's not this dress, but this is a shroud that we wear. It's a 2-piece cloth, white cloth, and everyone has to wear the same. Have you seen any male member wearing a black or a blue, or a matching, blue and a gray with stripes and this style? Has anyone seen this before? Anyone wearing any different colors or different styles? No, right? We don't. So the only dress that you're allowed to wear is 2 pieces of white cloth, which are the shrouds that you wear, one on the top and one to cover the bottom part of the body. So that's what you wear when you go for Hajj. Similarity after that. So when you die, again, you are wrapped in white sheets of cloth. And generally there are 2. People have some additional just so that they don't open up and all of that. But that's how you are wrapped. Same thing, after you die, you are wrapped. So you're starting a journey, leaving behind everything, and you're wearing the same dress, 2 pieces of cloth. The only difference is in Hajj, you are standing, while after death, you're laying down, right? So that's similarity number 2. Are you all with me?
Alhamdulillah.
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 Alhamdulillah. Very good. So this is the second similarity. The third one, when you are inside, so there is a ritual for those of you who don't know, that you go to a place, a designated place that is called Mina. In Mina, you spend a few nights, depending on when you arrive, before going to the main Arafah, which is an open ground. So I'll show you that as well. So in Mina, what happens is there are many tents that are set up. And in those tents, all the pilgrims are collected, and everyone, I mean, if you're paying a lot, then you may get some nice beds like the left ones. But if you're paying normal, you may get the right ones. But regardless of this, everyone gets a defined space. It's a small space where you hardly fit your body. So when you look at it, it's like, in these rooms, the rooms can be small, they can be big and all of that. But the important point is, everybody is wearing those 2 pieces of cloth, and they're all lying together in a very small space. So you cannot say, by the way, I have more money, so I need a premium room, like you do in hotels. I want a junior suite, or I want something else. That's not an option usually. So regardless of how rich you are or whatever, everybody stays equal. And because they have to fit 2.5 or 3 million or millions of people in that space, which is called Mina, the rooms, regardless of big or small, they have these small spaces with sofa beds or with these foams, just like the ones that I'm showing you. And everybody has to fit in this space, because the overall space, the total space, is limited for millions of people to spend time there. So I'll tell you a personal story. Alhamdulillah, I got the chance to perform Hajj. And one of the nights when we were staying there in Mina, I woke up And when I woke up, I stood, I wanted something to drink, and my place was near the door. So I just went out and I drank some water and I came in. When I came in and I saw people lying there, the thought that was in my mind is, it looked like, because most of the people were sleeping, it was middle of the night. So what it looked like was like, those, if you have those dead bodies lining up in graves. So it looked like a graveyard, open graveyard. And that's when it also hit me. This is the third similarity. When you go to a graveyard, all of the graves have spaces that are equal to the size of the body, right? So all of the people who are dead in the graveyard, if any one of you, if you guys went and you had a chance to look at a graveyard, all of the graves are almost size of the person who gets buried. And it's similar. The similarity is that in Mina as well, you get these spaces that are almost equal to a person's size. This is the third similarity after death. So when you go for Hajj, you get these places in Mina that are like this. And if you really zoom out and if you think about it, it's like being lined up in graves like a normal graveyard. Now, you guys don't need to be scared about this. The reason I'm making this similarity is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also preparing us. And there is a hikmah behind Hajj, that we have to be prepared for life after death, so that we are going through this drill during Hajj. But it is very important to understand all of the elements, so that because at times people are distracted. At times people in Mina are chatting, or they're watching videos, or they're just passing time, having fun. What we have been asked to do is to pray and to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during Hajj, to have patience with the hardship or the things that we face during Hajj. We should not quarrel, we should not fight, all of these things. But if you have this perspective in mind of Hajj, that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is probably preparing me for, this is the training that I am getting, then you stay in the right frame of mind to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say. So this was third similarity. Number 4 is stay at Arafah for prayer. So there is a half a day almost that you spend at a place called Arafah, which is like an under open sky. Regardless of hardship of weather, you have to stand there and you have to keep praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the full view. You see those roads, people are coming out from the top. I mean, this is the main road that connects you from Mina to Arafat. So all of us are supposed to come and move and stay for that half a day praying from Dhuhr until, before Maghrib, you have to actually arrive there and you have to spend there. And there's a place called Muzdalifah, which is a closer place to Arafah, and you have to spend the night. But the point here is, so you see, this is the closer view. Everybody in the same dress, two-piece cloth, is now arriving and standing there. It is similar to the Day of Judgment. We will be standing similarly on the Day of Judgment in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and waiting for the result of the test that we lived during this dunya, during this world. So if we were on the right part or on the left part, we will get those results. With this Hajj, with this opportunity, assembling at Arafah, this is our opportunity to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because on the Day of Judgment, we will not get time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've already seen in the previous ayahs that the time will be over. We won't have time. So this drill, this practice of Hajj, going to Arafah, reminds us that one day we will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of us, all the humanity like this. And that plain is also called plain of Arafah. So this is also Arafah, that is preparing us for that day and showing this to us as a reality, as a practice. Shayan, you had your hand up. You have something to say?
I was just telling that this was when everyone will be lined up on planes.
Correct.
That's
You're right. Spot on. So this is the fourth similarity of life after death, right? So this is another similarity, and there can be many more, by the way, as well. These are some of the ones that I've put here in our limited time during this class. So this is the one that is preparing us for that Day of Judgment in Arafah, when we will be standing. And if you really feel this, that one day I'll be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after death, and I would be waiting anxiously if I got the heaven or not, and I'd be praying that I don't get hell or get entered into that. So this day gives you that feel, and you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, for mercy, for everything that you have done in your life, which is why the hadith that we learned before of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that Hajj Mabrur, or Hajj that gets accepted, takes you to paradise. Because imagine if you're praying like this, and Allah SWT definitely listens to our prayers and definitely He loves us, then we can really be hopeful for His blessings so that we enter paradise. This is point number 4. The last point that is not really directly related to life after that, but what this is the culmination of us. So now you have spent time to Arafah, half a day, then you spend the night. There's a place called Muzdalfa. You are open again in front of the sky. Everybody is just lying there, and then you leave that after praying Fajr or before Fajr. Some people there.
Sir?
Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Don't you collect rocks in Arafah and then come here and throw rocks?
You're right. So you can collect those small pebbles. Usually you are asked to collect those from Muzdalfa, the place where you spend the night, and then you come and here and stone the shaitan. Now, a lot of people focus on how should I stone the shaitan, and this is the shaitan, and this is the pillar, and all of this. There are 3 pillars. What we need to realize is, what is the meaning of this stoning shaitan at Jamarat? What should we keep in mind? What we are trying to do actually is, we are negating the ways of shaitan. Who will explain to me what does it mean about negating the ways of shaitan? Why are we performing this act actually, which is towards the close of Hajj? After you have spent the night at Arafah, this is the last part of Hajj. Why are we doing this act? Who can explain it to me? What does it mean by negating the ways of shaitan? Go ahead. Whatever comes to your mind, guys. There's no right or wrong answer. Go ahead.
So when you hit it, then you stop shaitan from coming into your heart.
Okay, so that's a very good perspective. So basically, when you're hitting the stone, you're stopping shaitan to coming inside your heart and giving you those waswasas. That's a very good answer, Ahmed. Who else? What do you guys think? Negating the ways of shaitan. What does this mean?
This is also what Prophet Ibrahim did.
Yes, that's correct. But I'm also asking for the meaning. So I think you have given us a very good meaning. That is, you don't want shaitan to enter your heart. So this is very good. Anyone else? Yes, Umar.
Taking your anger out of shaitan.
Sorry, what did you say, Ahmed?
I think you're getting revenge on him.
Revenge? Yeah. I mean, some people do feel like as well, some people are hitting it so hard out of fury that this is the actual shaitan and I'm hitting him.
I saw this video of a person.
Sir,
So he was
sir,
so angry.
maybe it is used to take your anger out of
He was throwing
all the
stones,
stress.
and then he was so angry that he threw his slipper on the.
Yeah. So both of you are right. Both of you are right. Some people get angry. Ahmad is saying that there was a person who was angry, was throwing things and like his slipper, and Omar also said that you're taking your anger out to shaitan, that he's bad and everything else. I think we should always perform the ritual the way we have been told. So we should not really try to transgress, or we should not try to do something extra or whatever. So we have been told to throw these pebbles to shaitan, or these pillars that are representing shaitan. The thing that is negating the ways of shaitan, actually, when you're throwing those pebbles, yes, you are saying, you're praying to Allah SWT that we protect us from shaitan. And we also pray this every time we start our lecture. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. May Allah SWT bring us into, or we seek protection from Allah SWT from shaitan. So the important thing here is that we are making this promise to ourselves. Our Hajj is about to end. We are making this promise that we will not follow the ways of shaitan. This is very important. And this is also Hajj Mabrur, or Hajj getting accepted, because what happens is, right after Hajj, you try to change things in yourself. You try to become a better Muslim. You negate the ways of shaitan. So if you are involved in something related to interest, if you are involved in something bad deeds, if you're watching movies which are not good, or anything like that, then you make a promise to yourself after this act that I will not follow the ways of shaitan. This is a promise that you're making to yourself. That's how your life completely changes and transforms after Hajj. Because first of all, you understand that this is the practice that I am having, or the practice that I am, I'm going through this drill that is preparing me for life after death. Just like I came here in two pieces of cloth, I have nothing. I don't have my car, privilege. Everybody is equal. There is no senior, junior, whatever. Everyone is equal over there. And then it's like we are living a life like we are living in a graveyard with the small spaces. I have to be patient with people. I have to bear them. And then open ground of Arafah, it's like the day of judgment. After going through that entire experience, you really believe that yes, there will be a day of judgment. So I better correct my life. I should stop all the things that I was doing that may be the ways of shaitan, or things that shaitan wants me to do. So the last act, or towards the end, the act that you do is you throw these pebbles, and in your heart you're saying, I will not follow shaitan. Who do you throw pebbles to? The person or the thing that you don't like, right? You want to hit them, you want to harm them. And then this is what you're saying, that I will try to correct my life after Hajj, which is why this is one of the most important thing that we need to keep in our mind. And inshallah, Hajj Mabrur is, and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us Hajj Mabrur to all of us, inshallah. So I hope there were a few things that I tried to explain to you guys about Hajj and the intention of it and how we should think about it so that we can benefit the most from this ritual. Versus there are people who spend their time in Mina. Okay, so I have 3, 4, 5 days. Okay, let me just watch this, or let me just play games, or let me just be distracted. Okay, in Arafah, okay, I have to spend half a day, so let me chat with my friend and let me catch up with him and all of that. This is a very personal ritual. We have to follow, we have to pray, we have to establish that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when distractions come during Hajj, we have to be patient. If something is not available, if there is heat, if air condition goes off, if there are plates, you run out of plate during food, people start to quarrel, people start to fight, people want things for themselves. This is where our patience is also getting tested. It is not easy to manage 2.5 million, 3 million people at the same place. So there are hardships that come our way when you perform Hajj. So that should be our mindset, that first of all, we'll have patience. And then this is the practice or the drill that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to go through during Hajj. So let's move forward. We have taken some time on this topic because I thought that it was important. Inshallah, now let's move forward with our lesson. So we move on to ayah number 197. Al-Hajju Ashhurum Ma'lumat. The months for the Hajj are well known. So the months when the timing of the Hajj, people know about it. Faman farada fihin al-Hajj. Then whosoever undertakes the journey of Hajj, then what they should not do, fala rafatha wala fusu. They should not have sexual relations, meaning with their wives, and or their spouses, and no wickedness. There should be no bad thing in their heart. They need to take out the bad things or wickedness so that they can also be patient and take care of each other. It's a difficult journey, you remember. Wala jidala fil Hajj. And there should be no quarreling during Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that people are tested for patience. They should not quarrel. You will have to share washrooms. You will have to eat closely with people. There will be movement of people. Someone can step while you can get pushed by people. So this is all about patience. There should not be any quarreling. Wama taf'alu, and whatever you do, min khairin ya'lamullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that you're doing, which is good. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels are recording those things that you're doing for all good. So there should be no quarreling. You need to take care. And the mindset should be the more you can help other people. If somebody is pushing a wheelchair of their elderly parent, you should say, and you should give them a relief and hold the wheelchair. If somebody's coming, if there's a line for food, give other people plates before you serve yourself. If somebody's feeling really hot, give them a place that is in front of the AC and you can move. So all of the good things, all of the khair that you will do during Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is recording. This should be the mindset. Some people go in with the mindset, I want the best place. Let me grab the place in front of the AC. Let me go early so that I can take the maximum food. Let me just do this so that I can. So you have to be selfless during Hajj. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all the good things that we do during Hajj. This is the main test and patience of even performing Hajj. This should be our mindset. وَتَزَوَّدُوا, and take provision, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ تَقْوَى, and take provision, but indeed the best provision is righteousness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that for the Hajj, it's a long journey. You should take your provision, you should take some money, you should take some food and things like that, because in those times people used to carry their own stuff and own food and all. These days there are lots of avenues, and things are very well managed in Hajj. So you need some extra money, you need to keep something for in case you need it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking we need to take all the provisions. However, the most important thing is righteousness, taqwa. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that yes, take your provisions, pack things with you, but the thing that you can pack is righteousness, having fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making sure you have patience, making sure nobody gets hurt during that entire journey from you. وَاتَّقُونَ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, and fear me, O men of understanding. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that fear me, have taqwa, those people who are of understanding or who understand things. And obviously we have to use our mind and use our heart. Moving forward, Laysa alaykum junahun, not so there is no sin on you, an tabtaghu fazlam min rabbikum, that you seek bounty from your Lord. Okay, which means that during Hajj, because Makkah used to be the center of trade as well, so there are so it was allowed that during Hajj you can do some trade. So let's say you are going to Hajj and you have some things, so which can help people, and you want to sell things, so that is also allowed. A lot of people used to do trade because Makkah used to be the trade hub as well during those times, and still is. A lot of people bring things, they are selling things, you find them during Hajj as well. So this is fine from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's a journey where you need some money, the provisions are required. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it easy for people that they can do some trade and they can earn some bounty, they can earn some wealth during the journey or after the journey as well. فَإِذَا أَفَزْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ, and when you depart from Arafah or Mount Arafah, فَاذْكُرُوا إِنَّ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ, and then remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala near the monument or the sacred secret monument. Mash'ar al-Haram is usually the place of Muzdalifah that I was explaining. So when you move from that big ground that is Arafah, you're supposed to move to Muzdalifah, where you spend the night. And we have been asked to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and for any prayers that you have. So you need to continue praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاذْكُرُوهُ كَمَا هَدَاكُمْ, and remember him as he has guided you, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us. وَإِن كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الضَّالِّينَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided us before, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying is that before this guidance, people were not on the right path. So they were people who were astray, they were on the wrong path. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them the guidance and they got guided. So once you have received the guidance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also told us or taught us how to pray. So we should pray in the same manner as well. Okay. ثُمَّ أَفِيضُوا مِنْ حَيْثُ, and then then you have to depart from wherever. أَفَاضُوا النَّاسُ وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا اللَّهِ, so depart from place where all the people are departing and ask for forgiveness. Astaghfirullah. So you guys see, during the entire instructions of Hajj, we are being asked to pray, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ask for forgiveness. We are not being asked to take the latest update of sports or have a connect with someone or watch videos or whatever during that time just to kill time. Let me just go through these 7, 8, 10 days of Hajj. No, we are being asked to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at every stage. Inna Allah ghafur rahim, and indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving and he is merciful. فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمْ, and then when you have completed manasikukum, your acts of worship, فَاذْكُرُوا, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ, as you remember your forefathers. أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا, or with greater remembrance. فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ, and from the people those who say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا, O Lord, grant us in this world وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ, and not for him in the hereafter any share. So basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, the first part is, you should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way you remember the forefathers. Now here we need some background. So during that point in time, the Arabs, they used to remember their forefathers, and I'll tell you what. So that used to be the main discussion item. But before I go there, I want to ask a question from you guys. What do you talk about today? What do we talk about today? What are generally the topics of discussion of people? And don't think about Hajj or any religious topic. I'm just asking generally, what do we talk about today? What are the things of interest that people have? What do you guys talk about amongst yourselves? Can someone tell me? What are the things that we talk about, guys? With your friends, with anyone? What are the things that we discuss these days?
We talk about problems in the new eras, or different solutions, or different things we come across.
Sure. Yeah, you talk about problems. You discuss problems with people, especially in this age. Yes. Who else?
I think like YouTube, things on YouTube, memes.
So you talk about, sorry, YouTube.
YouTube and memes.
COVID-19.
Gaming.
Ah, yes, gaming. Correct. Omar, what did you say? Sorry, I missed it.
COVID-19.
COVID-19. Yes, COVID-19 is the topic these days. What else do we talk about these days? With our friends, with our family?
The newest tech.
The latest technology. Correct. Some of the people also talk about movies, right? Some of the people like talking about cars. And games. Ahmed mentioned games. You're right, Ahmed. We like to talk about games. Some people like to talk about sports. They love football, cricket, bowling, I don't know, tennis. The people also talk about celebrities, the big stars. What are they doing? What are they following? These are the usual topics that we have. And then some people of age, teenagers also start to talking about girls and all of that. And some of them are interested. So they talk and discuss. These are all the topics that occupy us today in our discussions. And some of the others that you mentioned, like technology, what is happening around us, like COVID-19, all of them are right answers. However, we need to understand that these things were not there during the time of the Holy Prophet SAW. And what people used to talk about at that time was their forefathers' stories. This used to be the movie-like thing for them. And they used to fondly talk about them. My forefather, my grandfather, he fought in that battle and he was so good. He killed so many people, and they used to visualize this. And so this was supposed to be a topic of interest that people generally used to talk about, right? So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here in this ayah. Faskurullah kadhikrikum abakum. So remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you remember your forefathers, or even greater, أو أشد ذكرى, or even with greater remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So here all of the things that we see, the topics that we have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that we need to continue remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially during Hajj. As I told you guys, we have so many topics to discuss, and all of us get occupied, and even during Hajj there are so many distractions, especially with these mobile phones and the devices that you have, keep on notifications and all of that. One should try to completely disconnect and focus on remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially during Hajj, and normally as well. When we learned this in one of the previous lessons, you would remember one of the action for us was try to find who or what do you love, and what is taking most of your time. And the most important thing was that we need to revolve our lives around the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to keep on remembering him. This point is especially valid during Hajj. This is like a one-to-one ritual or ibadah that we perform to establish our strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we need to continue remembering this. I will just wait for the ayah slide to appear for you guys. So this was the slide that I was talking about earlier, that we should always, our lives need to revolve around the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next ayah, I'll just wait for it to appear for you guys. It's taking a bit long. Do you guys see the next ayah, ayah number 201?
Now we do.
Okay, excellent. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ, and from those who say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. In the previous ayah, you remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying that people pray only for this world or only for this dunya. They will not have any share in akhirah. So even when people go for Hajj, yes, you can pray for this world. You can pray for a good job, or a new car, or something that you want in this world, a child, or a offspring, and all of these things. But we should not forget our akhirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us the right way of praying. And this prayer, guys, is something that I would want you to even remember and continue praying even after your prayers or whenever you remember. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatum. So, oh our Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh our Rabb, please grant us in this world good, wafil akhirate, as well as in hereafter good, hasanatum waqina azaban nar, and save us from the punishment of hellfire. This is one of the complete du'as that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us in the Quran. We should not just continue asking for, okay, I want this in this world, this in this world, this in the world. So even when you're going for Hajj, or even outside of Hajj in our lives, we should just not focus on the things that are part of this dunya. We should also focus on our akhirah, or hereafter. Why? Because that is the life that is the most important and lasting one. If you guys recall, when we were talking about investments and money and wealth, we were saying, yes, we can save some money in the account of this dunya, or the bank account that we have here, or as wealth. However, we should also invest in the account of akhirah, and we should invest there, because that's a life of hereafter. Same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also teaching us here the prayer, the right way to pray, that we should ask for goodness in this world and goodness hereafter. We should just not focus majority of our prayers in this world only. And obviously we need to continue to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us and save us from the punishment of fire. So this again is a very important dua that we need to repeat. Ulaika lahum nasibum mimma kathabu. Those, for them is the share for what they earn. Wallahu sari'ul hisab, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very swift in taking account, or in holding or during the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the decision of how we spent our lives. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can swiftly take us or hold us on account. Waskurullaha fi ayyamim ma'dudat, and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during those numbered days. Faman ta'ajjala, then he who is in a hurry, fi yawmaini fala isma alayh, then there is no harm or there is no sin if he leaves after 2 days. So there are certain number of days that we need to spend when we are in Mina for Jamarat, or stoning the shaitan or Iblis. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you can stay for 2 days, but if somebody is in a hurry, then they can leave. وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ, and whoever delays or stays for 3 days, there is again no sin from him. So you can stay for 2 days, you can stay for 3 days, both of them are right. لِمَنِ اتَّقَى, and for the one who fears, the important thing is fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that all of you will be gathered. This point of day of judgment, we saw the practice of Arafat was preparing us for the day of judgment. Yes, go ahead. Ahmad, you have a question.
So, for example, the Prophet Muhammad's wife Sauda, she was a little bit overweight, so she left earlier in Hajj.
Yes. So you are right, Ahmed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for people. If there is someone who wants to leave in 2 days, or if there are people who want to leave and stay longer as well, 3 days, there is no sin, there is no harm. Also, it manages, the traffic. There are 2.5 million, 3 million people at the same place at the same time. So some of them will leave earlier. Those who want to leave, some of them will leave in 3 days. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, there is no harm, because I mean, at times at Hajj, even that happens. So somebody who's leaving in 2 days, people would say and comment things like, so you're just leaving early. Why? You're already tired and things like that. So this ayah is telling us, guys, there is no harm, there is no sin, and it doesn't say that if you have a certain condition. No, it says even if you are in a hurry, if you want to manage your time, there is no sin. It's clearly mentioned here. So who are we to judge anyone? So it is both allowed 2 days and 3 days. What is the important thing? That we should continue to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah ta'ala is saying, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know that all of you will be gathered. Just like you just practiced the gathering of Hajj. And so many millions of people of you came together. It's like life after death. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will collect us all on the day of judgment, and all of us will be collected together, and we will be passed on the judgment on how we spent our lives. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُ, and the people whose speech pleases you, or someone who pleases you, fil hayatid dunya, in this world life. So if somebody who street talks to you, who talks nicely, وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ, and he calls witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on what is in his heart. So he's trying to say something. So now the topic has changed, and now we are talking about someone who is a sweet talker, and he talks nice things to you and says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Wallahi, people say, Wallahi, I'm speaking the truth. وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ, and he is the most quarrelsome, and he quarrels of opponents. So he's the most quarrelsome. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying regarding quarreling, or regarding yes, getting into verbal arguments with people. Sorry, someone was saying something.
Sir, isn't kalb, doesn't it mean a dog?
Sorry, which one? No.
Doesn't kalb?
No. Kalb with kaf can be dog, but here it's fi qalbi. Qalb here is heart. Okay. So he calls. So here, if you see, وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِي. So qalb here is heart. وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. So basically, he's the one who is more quarrelsome. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that he just said that Wallahi, he bears witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about his heart. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also asking us to avoid quarreling. And I also mentioned that there can be situations where we can be tested during Hajj as well, that we should not quarrel. And here are multiple hadiths from the Holy Prophet SAW. In one of them he says, the most hated person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is most quarrelsome of the opponents. So the one who quarrels back, he's the most hated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Holy Prophet SAW said, I guarantee a home in paradise for a person who gives up arguments and disputes, even if he is on the truth. So imagine, if you're not speaking the truth, you should not obviously quarrel. But even if you feel like somebody is just quarreling for the sake of quarreling, then you should avoid this discussion, even if you are at the truth. So this person will get paradise according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the second person, and I also guarantee a home in the middle of paradise for a person who gives up lying, false statements, even while joking. We all believe that joking, it's fine. I mean, if you lie, it's fine. It's hardly hurting anyone. But lying is very bad, even while joking. So if we avoid that, the hadith is guaranteeing us paradise. And I also guarantee a home in the highest parts of paradise for a person who has high standard of good character. So what are the three actions that come for us out of this hadith, which is related to the previous ayah that we learned? Action number one for us is we should not be quarreling. and we should try to reason only with reasonable people, meaning we should try to make reasons or give arguments to a person who is open to accepting them. If somebody is just quarreling for the sake of quarreling, then as we learned, even if you are right, then you should avoid these quarrels. And you know what? The most important thing in an argument is that we should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give guidance before any argument. What does this mean by giving guidance? To whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should give guidance to? Tell me, why do I say this? Who will answer me? Why should we pray for guidance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before any argument or before any discussion? Why should we ask for this? Yes, Shayan, go ahead.
That the fight cannot be big, and like the quarrel can be turned into fist fights, and
You're right. We should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it should not
bad
generate
words
that.
can be used.
You're right, Umar. Yes. Shayan, your hand is raised. I don't know if it is permanently raised.
Yes, I was saying that reason we should ask for guidance is so that before we go into a quarrel, we are reminded that Allah is watching us. So that does a spiritually, mentally benefit to ourselves as well. And when we ask Allah for guidance, that shows we have faith, and we have faith in Allah that He will make it easier for us to prove our point or for what we're saying as well.
Excellent, excellent answer. Thank you, Shayan. Yes, you're right. So both of you are right, Omar and Shayan. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our guidance as well, because we don't know, maybe we are not right in an argument. Maybe we are fueled by anger. So we have to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Shayan said, I think he explained it really well, that we need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance, so that the argument doesn't even turn into a quarrel and all of that even Omar was mentioning. So it is very, very important. The second action for us coming from the same hadith is we cannot lie even when we are joking, right? So a lot of people think that, we are just joking, it's just a light joke. And it has really engraved in our society that people normally lie and they think it's a joke. And, you can actually hurt someone. And one of the things that I will tell you that you should check yourself in this action, that, be careful when you're using this wink icon. In chat, we use this wink, or even when you're talking to someone, we are talking to a friend, but there is another friend who's there and we are winking them. And, we're just trying to make fun of or make fool of the person, one of our friends. This wink icon, it's obviously I've shown this icon as an icon, but even in real life, when we are winking, most of the time, it is related to lying. And the hadith of the Prophet SAW is very clear. You cannot lie. Obviously, in all circumstances, you cannot lie. Even while you are joking, you cannot lie. So is this point clear on winking? You guys understand what I'm trying to say here? Because this is an icon that is used a lot.
Sir, so yes. Then there's nothing called joking then.
You're right. By the way, yes, you're right that in lying, there is nothing called joking. So you're definitely right. The only thing is that light-hearted jokes, smiling with people, laughing with people, having fun, that is not prohibited in Islam. The point is the joke that is based on a lie is not allowed. So a good sense check or a check for us to, if we want to see ourselves, if we are lying or not, is one thing is related to joking is this wink icon. This is very dangerous. Even when you're using it on a chat, or when you're talking to someone and you don't mean something actually, or you're trying to. So this is something that we have to really be worried about. And this is one of the checks that I'm giving you. Now, moving forward, the third action that comes out is we have to maintain high standard of good character. So we have to learn to be patient when in position of strength. Who will tell me what do I mean by that? And I will close the class because we are already over time. So the rest of the ayahs, we can take them inshallah next week, because I think it was an important discussion that I wanted to have today regarding Hajj as well and those details. But the last action, who will tell me what does maintain a high standard of good character mean? Yes, Shayan, go ahead.
So basically, this means that that we maintain a high standard of good characters. That means that basically, like, we have different standards of different things. For example, wealth or representation, reputation, position in a job or anything. So there are different standards, and the highest standard would be the one who's the most influential in those places.
Yeah.
So basically, for good character, you need to be respected, you need to be trusted, you need to have good moral values again towards other people's. So that shows that you would have a high standard of good character, and that's what it basically means.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. Excellent answer. You're right. So that's a high standard of good character. All of the traits, all of the things that we are learning about how we should be with other people is about good character. Not just around people, but even when we are alone, we have to guard ourselves versus shaitan. So we have to have a high standard of good character. And I think there can be a lesson only on this topic, but everything that Shayan said basically summarizes it. And plus we can talk about a lot of things of good character. One thing that I want to point out is we have to learn to be patient or have sabr when we are in position of strength. When you are, what does this mean? When there is a weak person in front of you, it is very easy to fight with him. So you have to control yourself. A person of good character will always control himself. Because imagine if there's a big guy in front of you, even no matter how angry you are, you will think a little bit if I should hit him, or because what will he do to me in return, right? What I am telling you is, even when you are big and someone is smaller than you or weaker than you have, that's the test of character. Or it can be in an argument. You have an amazing argument and you can give it to someone, obviously just to prove a point, or in a nice logical way, you should give out the right argument. But what I am saying is, when you have the position of strength, that is the test of character. That you have two friends are there, one is rich, one is not that rich. The restaurant bill comes, it is easier. So the weak person, it is difficult for them to pay, but the rich person can easily pay, and they are at a position of strength. So that's where, even if they love their wealth or they don't want to give out their money, they have to. So they have to do that. They have to have that patience. So the point here is, when you know that you can overcome the other person and you can beat them, or you are in a position of strength, or you are you are in a winning position, that's the real test of character, how you will treat them. When you are a higher position, when you are a boss of someone in a company, when you are in a university, you are a senior. In college, school, you are a senior. And there are little kids who are running around. So you are in a position of strength. Let's say there is a line of canteen, the little kid, he's coming and he wants to buy something, he's not reaching. You are taller than him, you are stronger than him. Will you help him out? Or will you just push him away easily and just take that? That's the test of character. So everything that obviously Shayan said of, being trusted and having a good character, and, we can have like lengthy discussions on this one, that is definitely there. But the one point that I also wanted to highlight is, whenever you are in a position or a stronger position or in a better position versus someone, you have to control yourself, because that's where that you can, hurt someone or transgress or not help someone, and all of that thing, or all of those things. So that's where you have to really show your character. So I will end the class on this one. We have still a few ayahs left from ayah number 2005 onwards. And I would just quickly close with these action steps that I wanted you guys to remember. So number one is obviously Hajj is obligatory to be performed by everyone. The key conditions are that the person performing Hajj should be a Muslim. They should be adult, of sound mind. They should be free. They should be able to do it both physically as well as financially. And financially means whenever they have the money, they should be, because it's obligatory, they should perform it. They should not let other things or other obligations of this world come in their way, that, okay, I need to buy a car or buy a house or marry this or all of that. It's very important that we believe that this is an obligatory and a fard ritual on all Muslims who fulfill all of these conditions. We should always love and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. During Hajj especially, we should not get distracted. We should not quarrel with people. We just learned we shouldn't lie even when joking. And we need to maintain a high standard of good character, as we learned in the previous slide. So that's it for today's lecture. I don't know if there are any other questions, any comment before we close today's class. Is there anything?
I just wanted to say that there is a famous saying on the fact that maintain high standard of good character, that with great responsibility comes with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, that was in Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're right, and this is important. And you know, it's a very good principle of life that whenever you have more power, when you have more strength, there is more responsibility for you, because how you will use that power. Even Allah SWT has given us this test of life. There are two types of people: those who have and those who don't have, those who have wealth, those who have position, those who have kids, those who have all of these things. How will they treat, or how will they distribute their wealth? Will they give? Will they do not abuse their power? Or, you know, people higher up in governments who are running the states, or people who are running the house and all of these things, how they treat others. The other people who don't have things, who, let's say, who don't have wealth and all of this, or who are poorer, how will they be patient? Will they pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or will they become thieves, or will they, you know, start snatching stuff and all of that, or will they move to a corrupt path? So both people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, and those people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given, both these people have a test. Those who have not been given, they need to have patience, they need to continue to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they need to strive. Those who have been given all of these things, they have to distribute, they have to take care of others. So it's a test for everyone in this world. No one can say, you know, I'm relaxed, I'm chill, I don't have anything, you know, yes, I will enter Jannah and all of that. No, no one can say that. All of us have our own test. We need to realize this stress. If a person who is wealthy and he has everything, he has health and everything, he is doing nothing to help people, or when people ask him, that's his test, by the way. He better realize this, that's his test. He has been giving things that, you know, he needs to give out. Thank you so much, guys. Is there anything else on anybody's mind before we close? Okay, good. So we close. Jazakallahu khairan. We end our lesson with the dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and minds to accept and feel the miracles of Quran in our lives. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakallahu khairan for attending session. I will, inshallah, we'll connect again next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.